everybody, CW here. I'm going to make a video on doing this base plate. But the trouble is, I already did the video. I videoed opening the box. I talked to you all about my decision on doing it and why I wanted to do it and what I wanted to change. I brought you all along for the journey of routing it out. I brought you along and showed you how I screwed it up. The router, the bearing on the cutter moved and it allowed the router to cut wide. I decided to show it and showed you how I fixed it. Or how I was going to fix it. And what I went about with along the way. It became about a 40-minute video. And when I went to save it, I used some software that's pretty much a memory hog. You have your videos files for everything you film. And then you start editing. So you pull them into your editing software. Well, it pulls in the full resolution video into the editing software. So you literally have twice the amount of files, twice the amount of memory used. And then when you get it all done, you save it. Now you've got 3 times the amount of memory used. So if you've got a gig worth of files that you're making into a video, you end up with 3 gigs when you're done. So the partition that I had wasn't big enough because it was a 43-minute video, and normally I do short. I mean, 20 minutes is about as long as I like them to be, and I try and do them a lot shorter than that. So I had to move some files around. So I moved them out, and then I resaved, and I tried to save the video again. It still wasn't big enough, so I moved the rest of the files out. And then something happened. I had to restart. When I restarted, it tried to save the whole thing over again, but it still had the portion of the save, and somehow it corrupted the first half of the video. When I went back to save it, I moved everything into a new partition, new clean area on the hard drive, and then loaded it all in and saved it. It did the same thing again. It didn't have enough room, and it should have. And when I started it up, it was gone. So I don't know if I didn't move it like I thought I did or didn't do what I thought I was supposed to do. Obviously, it's probably something I did versus something that went wrong with the computer. I'm not really great with computers, so. Long story short, I lost all my videos. I do have a few pictures, but I lost all my videos. So, we're going to do a shorter one. I decided to do this basically because I was using just one of these, which is a storage slot. These are designed to be screwed to a 2x4 or something, and then you can just put your presses on here that are in the quick mounts. You just put them in here and hang them on the wall. You pull them out real quick and put them in where you're going to use them. Put it back in here. Well, I had this screwed to the front of the bench as kind of a temporary. So what I would do would be I would take the press off over there, set it over here, go and get a new press that I wanted to use, put it in the stand, and then take the press out of this here and put it over there. I don't really have room to have one of these over there not being used. But I guess that's what I'm going to need to do. I'm going to need to make room for that somewhere, to put one of these somewhere not used so that I can switch out to be able to do that. But I like this area for doing just what we're doing here, doing a video, or I'll put my loading manual over here, or, you know, loading blocks. I'll be working with loading blocks and cases and charging up. My powder measure's right there, so I'll be dumping powder right here. I need this area, so I didn't want to have a press here. So I put one of these in on the other bench, and I showed it to you, but I didn't go through the process of how it's done. Real quick, basically, how you do it is, you figure out where you're going to put it, make sure everything underneath is clear, make sure you got room for your screws. In this case, in my case here, and probably in yours as well, you're going to have some good bench timbers under here. 2x4s or 2x6s or 2x8s, a framework for your bench. Then you're going to have a top. Well, the front screws, he gives you all bolts, nuts and bolts. Well, they won't work up here. So you're going to have to buy screws. I was buying number 14, 2.5 or 3.5 inch long number 14 screws, and they worked really good. But when I was in Home Depot looking for these, I found 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch by 4 inch lag screws. And these are 1/4 inch. So I knew it's going to fit. So I bought those. I drilled as deep as my drill would go, which is like 3 inches. And these are 4. So that's in there into this 2x4, actually 2x6 on my bench, in the front, real solid. So that's never ever going to be an issue or going anywhere. Back here, it's just through the three layers of plywood that's on the bench. To guide your router, because you use a router, it's got a cutter with a bearing on top of the cutter. So you need to have something on top of your bench that bearing can ride along that's in the shape you want to cut out. And then you virtually just attach those to your bench and run your router in everywhere, and you burn everything all out, and you're done. You set your block down in, and you drill it, and you're done. You set the depth, of course. This is 7/16, and then there's a little bit more because you need to have a little bit extra cut out under here so that the tendon can go in and turn. And I showed you all that in the video that I lost. My router went wonky, and the bearing rode up. Don't know how. It just, you know, you turn a video on and just stuff happens. I did the other one perfect, no problem, and this one here was just screwed up. So you can see where it started to wander, and right about here I realized that it did it. So I reset up and started again, and I went over here and I did all this, and this is perfect. And then it started again, and I didn't realize it until I got over here again. It was just a comedy of errors. So, you know, you think you ruined your bench. I'm done. I ruined it. What I ended up doing was treating it like a rifle stock that I was bedding, a rifle action I was bedding into a stock. So I built everything up to be the way I wanted it to be. I drilled the holes, positioned it how I wanted it for levelness, because it was also too deep in the back. Threw a couple washers under here, and I was lucky because this part here that I cut was pretty much perfect. It was a little bit low. It's a little bit low, but I can deal with it. It's fine. So I drilled these, put these in, and these made the back hover to the proper height. So I just threw a couple of washers under here just to make sure it didn't drop down. And then I took some clay, and I put clay in here to make a dam to stop the epoxy that I'm going to pour in here, or I did, to fill up the gap distance and to fill in all these holes back here. So that's all done. Smushed it down. I poured epoxy in here. Sprayed this with a release agent. I used good old One Shot because it works really good as a release agent. Sprayed it all up, taped it all up, plopped it down in, put my screws in, snugged them down just until I got level, because when I screwed this, it actually would lift up just a little bit because of the clay. So I screwed these in just enough to bring it down flush. So back here, I'm really good. This is all really good. Right here, it's a little bit low. It's good enough. Good enough for what I'm going to do. And then just let it dry. When it was done, I took the screws out, popped it out. It's perfect all around. All this is dead perfect, clear, crystal clear epoxy. Perfect, perfect, except for one little bitty spot right here where there wasn't quite enough epoxy. Not going to matter. I don't care. I left it there. You'll never see it. If I didn't tell you about it, you wouldn't know. Before I was done, I mixed up some more epoxy and then mixed in the sawdust from the routing to give me the brown color. And then I poured it in here along the edge, let it creep under to fill in that gap. Now you can see here, this one here is pretty good. This one here is a little bit low. So I really need to do a little bit more over there. I don't know if I will or not. It's screwed up. It's kind of patched fixed, but it's, as they say, good enough for the girls we date. So it'll live. It'll survive. And there we go. I wish I could show you doing it, because there's a lot of little tricks, but it's gone. So I apologize, but I wanted to, you know, you have grand visions. I wanted to show you how this is done, and I want it to be perfect, but then it got screwed up. So I said, all right, let's use it as a learning, because I know somebody out there is going to do this and have a similar thing happen, or, you know, screw up, have their jig move, or have the router fudge up like mine did, or have this same thing happen, and they're going to think they're ruined. They're going to think they're done. They're thinking you know, why do I do this? You know, it's all problems. And I wanted to show one way to fix it that was not too hard. Just a matter of $20 of epoxy. You can use Pam cooking spray as a release agent. That works really good. And you just spray it over it, and the epoxy won't stick at all. It'll pop right out. It's amazing. And you made a perfect form, and it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I will do a little more refinishing for sure, because this is raw wood right here. I want to coat that with some Varathane, which is what I've got on the bench here. But, you know, you can see all these spots in my bench. These are all old holes. This bench has been here for 30 years. And I just filled them in with wood putty, sanded them flush, and recoated the top. You know, you can refinish things. It's only a workbench. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, all these holes down here are all old presses that were mounted, different things I had bolted to the bench. Just fill them in with wood putty and sand them smooth and move on. So there we go. This is an Inline Precision flush mount, and it's going to be perfect for what I want. Every once in a while I'll need to deprime a case, or I'll need to trim, and I don't want to have my main press over there. I can put this right here and go to town. I found myself sticking the press in this, or whatever tool in this, that was bolted to the front of the bench, and not made for use, it's made for storage. But it would work. Well, now this will do like it's supposed to. Put the thumb screws in the front, and, you know, there we go. So, there we go. That's my video. Sorry it wasn't more. I wanted to have a nice video for you guys on how to do this so that you could copy and do it yourself, show that it's a doable thing. And then it screwed up, so I figured I'll make it a learning experience. Well, life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And then I had files corrupted and I lost everything. But we got this. So here's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, me talking about what I did and how I screwed it up. I hope you all have a great day. Check us out tonight on the Georgia Shooting Chat at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know what Jamie's got in store for us. We haven't talked about a topic yet, but we'll probably talk today or tomorrow. I'm making this on Thursday. So I hope you all have a great weekend. Look forward to seeing you all tonight. God bless. CW out.